For close to 100 years there's been a brass band in the West Yorkshire village of Hade Edge. It's a tradition, handed down by one generation to the next. And today, after years of sweat and slog, the band have finally made it all the way up. Now they're competing against the big boys of the championship section, the best bands in Britain, hoping for glory and playing for the love of it. Tucked away in the Pennine hills and valleys around Holmfirth, you'll find scores of villages. Hade Edge is just one of them. But there's something a bit special happening here. Some musical magic conjured up in an old army hut, the home of the Hade Edge Brass Band. For longer than anyone can remember, this handsome, rugged, drafty bit of Yorkshire has echoed to the sound of brass.
We have the best bands around here, in this part of Yorkshire, because it's the air we breathe that comes straight off the moors. It's a nice thought, isn't it?
Since the Great War, this scruffy old shed has seen countless players come and go. Some good, some not, but all of them proud to call themselves part of the Hade Edge Band. All of them keen enough to turn up and get shouted at.
Rhythm. Dee, degga-dum, dee, degga-dum, dee, dum. Shorter on the quiver basses. Dum, 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 dum. Once again.
In 40 years, the band room has hardly changed, but the music's dramatically better. Simon Wood's been musical director for 6 years now. He's encouraged, cajoled and bullied them all to the top flight of British brass. Every age from 13 to 60, 30-odd men and women from all backgrounds.
Well, he's sounding better tonight, but bar 18, that sagged a bit horns last night. We didn't keep that.
All of them improving with every rehearsal.
Semitones, clear jumps. Bam, be-da, da-dum, ba-dee, da-dum. 40, please. 40, and 3, and... When I first came to the band, musically it was very hard work. You know, we didn't have to worry about the standard of players. If you'd got an instrument, you could join. If you wanted to come to every rehearsal, you could join, and that was it. And that's really what it was like.
Every Tuesday and Thursday evening the band meets to rehearse. Simon's made a real difference, but joining the band changed things for him too.
Their last conductor had left, and I got a phone call, could you just help out, take a couple of rehearsals for us? The only reason I could do Hade Edge was because the other band I was conducting were Mondays and Wednesdays, and they were completely the opposite, in that they were really well organised, quite efficient, a much older band and a good band. But in contrast to Hade Edge, Hade Edge was just completely slapdash and haphazard, but it was a lot more fun. 2. It really was a lot of fun, and I think that's what kept me going, because, you know, I've bashed my head against a brick wall many a time, especially in the early days, because it was really hard work.
I remember when he first went to Hade Edge, coming home and saying, oh gosh, you know, such and such are absolutely rubbish, they're no good, and those people now are really good, strong players, they've improved, you know, and they're not musicians, they've never been to college, you know, they just come along, you know, it might have been they were a cornet or something lying around at home and they started playing it and came along to Hade Edge Band, and you know, they've done really well. They've worked extremely hard, and I've got a lot of admiration for a lot of the players at Hade Edge Band, because I have to say, when Simon first went there, I never dreamed they would be making the sounds that they're making now. And they've basically, you know, 50% of the band is the same as it was, you know, when Simon first went and they were struggling.
Wetherby Riverside Bandstand, and for Hade Edge, a Sunday afternoon concert.
Good afternoon, everybody. Now, I don't know if any of you know Holmfirth at all. Well, we're Hade Edge Band. If you go out of Holmfirth, it's a beautiful little village. The Hade Edge is just after that.
Brass bands have died out, there's no doubt about it. If you look, 40 years ago, especially, if you look at the history of brass bands around mills and particularly mines, a lot of bands did die out when a lot of the pits closed. But you look at, you look at bands and, there's still a lot of young people that are playing in brass bands. You look at other musical ensembles and, male voice choirs and things like that, and they're full of old people. There's not many new people coming in, but there's something unique about brass bands. I think it's the only musical ensemble where people play it on an amateur basis to a professional level.
The crowds at Wetherby show that people still relish the sound of brass. But ask the top professional players and they'll tell you that these days, smaller bands are lucky to survive.
There's a big problem that we're losing so many brass bands every year in this country. We started this tradition. It spread all over the world, in Europe, Japan, America, in New Zealand, Australia. It's very, very popular because people understand the power of getting people together, making music, and it's such a shame that in this country that we're in decline. We've got 25 brass bands a year who are folding or near to extinction almost, and it's very, very important that people understand that, and bands like Hade Edge and others encourage young people and families to participate to keep this very important heritage and history alive.
We can get audiences over 500. Regularly we get 350.
It's a bit of old England, isn't it, this bandstand in the park? There isn't enough of them.
They come from miles around, literally. We've got people coming up from Normanton area, Sheffield, Barnsley, and they come every week.
Playing for crowds is what we live for, and then there's also this thing, sort of voluntary commitment thing.
Yeah.
It instills discipline into people. And
where would you be if you weren't banding days and stuff?
If I wasn't here, I'd probably just be sat at home bored.
Yeah.
So it is good fun.
And round here it's been good fun for donkey's years. Creative expression for working men at the end of a dirty day. But when the pit wheels finally stopped and the mills fell silent, the bands marched on.
Here, of course, we have the best bands not in the country, but we have the best bands in the world, no question about it. Nobody can touch us, not even Lancashire.
Banding's a passion that can take over your life, filling every corner of your home and your head.
Time left, and there's the whistle. Albion have won, and what a turn for the Monkeys.
The doctor says to me, he says, well, what do you get out of playing in a brass band, Mr. A? I said, when I put the music up to play, I said, I play to the best of my ability. I said, I put everything on one side. I said, I even forget everything. I said, I even forget I'm married.
For Hade Edge, it's no different.
Once you start playing in a band, it just becomes it's practically a way of life. It's a culture. It is hard work, but they come, they do it. I guess they want to be part of it now.
through the summer months we can be out every weekend, and it's church fates, school fates, processions, and that's a nice way of putting a bit of something back. It's nice to put your uniform on and be part of that. When you line up at the top of your own village high street on a Whit Friday or a Whit Sunday as part of a procession, people look at you and people get pleasure out of what you're doing. And that's nice, it's nice to put that back.
Steady! Right down top!
The brass band world is like a big family. I think there's an excitement about it. Yes, a lot of pleasure, a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of friendships. I can't imagine life without it, really.
It's like another family that you belong to, but your life revolves around it. Everything revolves around it.
Proud. Just the hard work, the effort that everybody's put in. I think that we've done so well. Yeah, I'm really proud.
Late May and Hade Edge Band are off to take part in the legendary Whit Friday March contests.
Outside. Outside, please. Whinging. Make sure you've got everything there and get straight on, Buzz. So we're just waiting for Dave, Heather and Donna, aren't we? Oh, Heather's here now.
Scores of bands spend the day touring Yorkshire and Lancashire, stopping to enter as many contests as they can. They hope to join half a dozen contests, stopping where there isn't already a queue of other bands waiting to perform.
We're heading over the tops. We're going to play in the villages in Saddleworth and some of the villages in Tameside. There'll be about 100 brass bands all driving around in coaches, hopping on and off.
I'm usually the runner, so my job is to, we'd usually decide how many, when we arrive at a village, we decide how many coaches we can see and if it's worth stopping. If not, we move on to the next village. If there are only 3 or 4, then we decide to stop, so I jump off and register the band. And then they line up and march off and play. And then we get back on the coach and drive off to the next village.
It used to be mainly Yorkshire and Lancashire bands, Derbyshire, really within striking distance. But now it's bands from all over the world. You know, there'll be bands from, I would say there's probably 8 to 9 bands from other countries here today.
Carbrook, stop 1.
H-A-D-E.
D-E.
Edge.
Just to let you know, there's a deportment section as well, so when we start off.
Okay.
And what section is it?
Championship.
That's wonderful. And it's just £1 registration. Thank you very much and good luck.
They're going to spend most of the afternoon packing, or unpacking. The rest of the time the band will be playing the same 2 tunes at every contest. Whit Friday's always hectic.
Carbrook.
But this is what it's all about.
Oh, it is the best day of the year, without a doubt. Once all the crowds get out and there's the atmosphere bit of cutting with a knife in a bit, it's great. Some of the best bands in the world on the roundabout in the villages this afternoon, so we've already seen Brighouse and people like that on the road, so we'll see how we do.
Have I got salad cream around it now? I had a sandwich while I was on the bus and I thought I've got... Because your mouthpiece slips off if you've got salad cream around it.
All about being here and enjoying it, so that's what it's all about today, having a good crack, playing well and giving people what they want to hear, which is good brass band music.
between 250,000 and 500,000 people turn out on the streets to watch the bands. It's no good trying to explain Whit Friday. You've got to go and experience it. And more people are doing just that.
With the first contest under their belts, there's a sense of urgency now, but sadly no real sense of direction.
Let's have a look at the map. Where's that map, Chris? Go on, guys, let's get on. It's a bit like, if you're in a brass band, it's a bit like Christmas Day, really. And if you're a supporter of brass bands, because there's just so many bands here.
Hade Edge, H-A-D-E.
Contest 2.
Edge.
But where exactly?
Staley Bridge, I think.
What do you call a nun on a washing machine? Systematic.
To save time, they've taken a shortcut. Not clever.
Straight on, please. Oh, closed. I don't know if you get up there. Yeah, can you get up there, please? Chris, you beep. Do you think we're riding around in beep in circles? You beep.
Is this registration?
I think so.
Is this registration?
Today there's over £40,000 in prize money up for grabs in 23 villages, and that's not to be sniffed at, even if the crowds are still a bit thin.
These are always a bit of a quiet ones. You get on the old get over to Saddleworth one's a bit more atmosphere at some of them, but there's a lot of prize money to be had around here, so they can't really be ignored. When we get to Delft later on, there's thousands and thousands of people 10 deep down the high street, and they go mad for it, they love it.
Scout Head, contest number 5.
Well, we left the band room at 3:30. We've managed to do 4 contests. We're at Scout Head now, so we're more or less getting over into the Saddleworth area. We're number 38 here. We could be here about 20 minutes, half an hour.
About 4 years ago I was on this very field, and it was just very much like it is now. It's very cold, very windy, and a little girl came up to me and she had a bunch of wildflowers in her hand, which was just starting to wilt, and she pulled my trouser leg. I looked straight up at me and says, "That present you brought me last Christmas was broken."
Delft.
I think this is number 6. Or is it 5?
They won't get the contest results until the next day, but the crowd seem happy enough, and so's the band.
It's just something you do. When you play in a brass band, it becomes a way of life, and it's just something you do. You don't think of why you're doing it, or, you know, how it may be daft going out 8 times out of 10 nights when it's freezing cold and you're just going to get shouted at. But you just do it. it does get under your skin. So I think it's a kind of very earthy thing to do, you know, big lumps of metal and it's just something very earthy about it.
Greenfield, and one of the most popular contests.
Well, this is the last one we're playing at. We're in Greenfield, and band number 54 is just setting off. We're registered 65. We've just got in time. They finished registering at 10 o'clock, so we've just managed. We shall have about an hour now to wait before we line up to play. I think that we're going in having a pint.
Usually gets to about 9 o'clock and then we go silly, don't we?
Yeah, we sneak off.
And it's always Fiona's fault.
No, it's his fault.
We've only had 30 years of it, so we're well practiced.
Yeah, we are. They aren't all young people that play in this band. There's some oldies.
I hope you aren't looking at me when you're saying that.
There's some oldies.
Yeah. The thing is, when you look at the cornet section and there's me and you there, the entire section doesn't add up to half our age.
No, it don't. No.
I was bored at band one night and I worked out the average age of the band, and it was something like 24 or something.
But me and him brought it down by I don't know how much.
If we weren't there, it'd be 18, wouldn't it?
Oh, God.
Hade Edge will never be a Black Dyke or a Brighouse and Rastrick. It would be stupid for us to think we can. But what we can be is we can try our best to stay in the championship section and just be as good as we can. That's really my ambitions for the senior band are just to keep playing as well as we can. And you know, whatever comes along, you know, we just do our best and that's it.
Miles driven 74, contests entered 7, prizes won 0, whereas none.